you hate the thought of working past 55 or 60? Do you hate not being able to live the life you deserve today? Do you hate not knowing what your financial future looks like? It's time to stop doing what you hate. Here's your host, Mr. Harold Green.
Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm Harold Green of Brightree Financial, and I got to start off by telling you that I got some good news for you. It is time to stop doing what you hate. Crazy show title, right? But it's true. It's time to knock the foolishness off. I've been in financial planning for over 20 years, and I'm pretty sick and tired of constantly seeing people do the things they hate. People coming through my doors all the time, doing things they hate, paying too much for college, working past a certain age, and the list goes on and on and on, drowning in certain types of debts that they shouldn't have. So I came up with an idea, and I asked myself, what if I could help people stop doing what they hate? And by the way, we'll get into some of the things that people hate in a minute, but for real, what if I could help them? The answer is yes, I could help them. I created a program called Rapid Retire that puts a person in position to retire 7 to 10 years than they think they could. Crazy, right? Rapid Retire not only puts you in position to retire sooner, but it also covers a lot of different things like I just talked about, getting out of debt, paying for college, on and on and on. And it's a strategy that I've used for years to help people stop doing what they hate. So today, I'm going to talk to you about my clients and some of the things that they hate when it comes to money. Now, I have a saying that I like quite a bit, and it goes like this. Okay, 1, 2, 3, let's get it. The number one thing my clients hate about money is this. Number one, it's hard to earn. Man, getting ahead in today's world can be extremely difficult. But if anybody ever said, hey, making money is easy, I got a problem with that. Making money is hard. Now, don't get me wrong. Some people out there do make money and they make a lot of it and they make it very easily. But this is not the show for that. If you're on this show, chances are making money for you is not easy. And we're going to talk to you about how to protect what you have, right? And eventually how to make more of it. But again, making money is hard to earn. Now, I live here in the state of Hawaii. Hawaii is a very beautiful place, and sometimes it can be extremely expensive. But let's talk about what people make here. The median household income is about $80,000. That's it. $80K. Now, I've always wondered, how in the world can people live here in Hawaii on $80,000? And the answer is they can't. However, people do make it. People get by. And you know what they do to do that? They take on debt, and they take on lots of it. By the way, Hawaii has some of the highest debt totals for consumer debt per person in the United States. It comes out to about $68,656 when it's roughly about $47,000 in the rest of the United States. Let that soak in. You got the sunshine, you got the Mai Tais, but you got debt on that credit card. All right. So, okay, let's get back to money being hard to earn. Why is money so hard to earn for so many people? We need money, right? Isn't it the number one thing we need to live on and to provide for our families for a good quality of life? Sure it is. But here's my theory. I think we tend to focus too much on what we like and not on what we need. And I think what we need as a society is a better educational system that teaches people how to prosper from an early age. Call me crazy, but I think Monopoly ought to be a subject in school, like PE, history, algebra, right? A lot of smart kids, but no one's teaching our kids how to prosper in the world we live in today. And that's why we have $1.6 trillion in student loan debt. Because people go to college and they get these degrees that are somewhat worthless where the rubber meets the road. I see it all the time. Kids graduate college and they have degrees in, say, history or whatever it might be, or some other type, public relations or business. It can be anything. And they find themselves in jobs that they hate. Why? Because they got to work, right? They got to make money. They got bills to pay, on and on and on and on. I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about this later on in my show on college and education. I think more and more, some of these institutions are becoming a big, fat joke. Number two, the number two thing my clients hate about money is it runs out too quick. So much for easy come, easy go. I think it's hard come, easy go. Now, one of the things that amazes me in a capitalistic society is why are there so many people running around broke? Again, I think it's the fact that we focus on what we like and not what we need. And again, that's probably one reason why I think people are often broke. But there's a lot of other reasons and things that people do to cause themselves to be broke. And we'll get into some of that later on. But I want to talk about the situation of being broke for a minute because I think it's important to understand something about being broke. But first of all, have you ever been there before? Have you been broke? I know I sure have. How did being broke make you feel? Did you hate it? I sure hated it. I hated it a lot. I hated being broke so much as a kid that I actually resented my own parents for raising me in a broke household. We never had enough. And you know what? As a kid growing up, that affected me tremendously. Now, here's the thing about being broke. Being broke should be a temporary status, like say a layover in an airport, right? I fly quite a bit here and there. Shorter the layover, the better for me. I hate being in airports for hours and hours and hours and hours on end. It just kind of wears on you. And I think being broke is the same way. And if we're not careful, being broke can become a permanent status based on how we handle the times that we are temporarily broke. What do I mean by that? Sometimes we make decisions in life because of our circumstances, right? And we can begin to develop a poverty mindset based on how we handle those things. The dangers of being broke is it can lead to a more permanent mindset of the poverty mindset. And poverty, I feel, is a disease that we ought to work hard to eradicate around the world. But there's different reasons why we have millions of people that live in poverty. But let me ask you a question. You ever been around somebody who has a poverty mindset? It's horrible, right? Like that friend. You guys go out and eat dinner and the check comes and they have those alligator arms where they can't reach that check, right? Happens. You guys have friends like that? You always grabbing the check first? But what does it mean when you focus on what you like versus what you need? Does it mean turning down the job that pays you more so you can stay in the area where you grew up because your family's important to you, right? It's nothing like being around family, cousins, uncles, mom, especially if you have a good family and your family's funny. And, my family's very funny. We grew up poor, but man, when we get together, we have a really good time. But what does it mean? Does it mean you have to live a certain lifestyle because you feel that it adds value to your life? Right? Do you always have to have nice things in order to validate yourself? Do you need it for your self-worth? And let me ask you this. What if there's a way you could have your cake and eat it too? I love having my cake and eat it too. But hang in there for a second with me. There's a major issue I want to talk about. A lot of people do have their cake and they eat it too. What do I mean by that? You're driving down the road, right? And you see the car of your dreams. And you see this guy in the car. He looks like he's all of about 20 years old, right? Right? Cool looking dude. And you're like, man, how does this young guy get this car? Well, there's a lot of different ways. There's leasing. Okay. Leasing makes it cheaper. And we'll talk about leasing later on down the road. There's a lot of different ways people go about doing things that maybe we haven't been taught about. Another way people have their cake and they eat it too is they take on a lot of debt because they feel that you only live once. I agree. You only live once, but you don't have to live once stupid. You got to get smart about this. Now, this is probably stuff you've already heard. And my thing is this, is that it's not that you heard it. The real question is what have you done with what you heard? And if you heard it and you're still doing the things that you hate, we got a problem. Now, the number 3 thing that my clients hate about money is not knowing how to properly use it or where to invest it. Money can be intimidating, very intimidating. We talked earlier about not having the proper education when it comes to money. And here's one of the biggest mistakes I see people making because of that. They get their first job and they get their first check. And guess what? Guess what they're being told to do with that money? In some cases, they are automatically enrolled in their company's 401k plan. Big question for you. How is being automatically enrolled in your company's 401k plan actually going to help you retire? Retirement hasn't even been defined yet. When are you going to retire? What does it look like? Where are you going to live? How much do you need? On and on and on. There are so many more bigger fish to fry before we can begin planning for retirement. Now, I think this is a sad case of misplaced priorities because the company is not acting in your best interest. They're acting in theirs. Truth be told, a 401k is the biggest benefit outside of your medical plan that keeps you with that job or with that company. And God forbid, if the matching is good, you're pretty much stuck. But again, how does enrolling in the plan solve the problem? It doesn't. What it does is it causes a person to have a false sense of security that I'm putting in my 401k, I'm going to be okay. Not true. Let's fast forward 20 to 30 years. I meet a lot of people. They've been working for 20 to 30 years. You know where they are? They are 51 and 52 years of age with some money in their 401k, but not enough to retire on. But guess what? They are sending their first kid away to college at 51 and 52 years of age. Now, depending on the cost of college, it can be anywhere from $70,000 to $100,000 or even more. And when you multiply that by the number of kids you have, that's going to become a pretty big number. So did setting up that 401k put you in a position to stop doing what you hate, or did it make it worse? Did it cause you to take on debt because the money's locked up in your 401k? Please do not get me wrong. I do not hate 401ks. I don't hate 401ks no more than I hate root canals. But here's the deal. I don't think you ought to go and just get one if you don't need one. There's a lot of issues we can get into when it comes to the money mistakes that I see people make that constantly keeps them tied to doing what they hate. Now, again, my aim is to help you folks get in a position to start doing what you love. And what you love more than anything is knowing that you're on track to the kind of life that you've always dreamed of. But you got some hurdles, and we're going to talk about those as we proceed. But one thing is for sure, money is hard to earn. Now, I don't want to make that a negative confession and put that out there so that I can come back at me. But it is true. I see a lot of people struggling to make money. And the quality of their jobs aren't getting any easier. I built the Rapid Retire program just for that simple fact. We have a major issue when it comes to millennials working with the X's and the baby boomers and on and on and on. People have different values, and you know what? They bring those values to the workplace. And if companies aren't doing a good enough job of helping to integrate those values, we're going to have a problem. And I already see it. But here's the thing. Making money is hard to earn, but it doesn't have to stay that way. You gotta constantly, or you gotta find a way to consistently make not just decent money, but great money year in and year out. And you know what? It could mean getting a better job, relocating to a different location, or simply become a better investor. And I'm going to do a show later on about how investing is so easy. Even a monkey could do it. Okay? Again, you got to find and implement a system that works in your favor. Not a get rich quick type of deal or something shady. If you want to get in multi-level, that's fine. You want to get into real estate, that's fine. There's a lot of things you can get into to make money. And let's face it, being broke sucks, right? But being broke, if you are broke right now, should only be temporary. I'm going to repeat that again. If you're broke right now, It should be a temporary status that affects only your wallet and not your mind. Because if you don't deal with being broke, it could turn into something much worse. It's going to stymie your creativity. It's going to keep you in a constant state of stress and uneasiness. It's easy to overcome being broke, but you know what? It is hard to overcome being poor. And that's a different monster altogether that we don't have time for today. But the truth is, when it comes to money, many people have no clue what money really is and the power that it can possess over our minds. Truth be told, you guys know this, money controls everything we do. It also controls how we think, how we feel, and just how we simply see life. And it also controls how we see ourselves, right? And that's a problem. I hear this a lot. People tell me, Harold, money isn't everything. That's true. Money is not everything, but I tell them, you know what? If you don't have enough of it, you're going to have some problems. And to be honest, I think when people say that, it's just an excuse because they just have not been able to figure things out. They don't know who to trust. You read things on the internet all the time. There's a ton of different advice and information out there. We're in information overload. How do you digest that and make it work for you? It's very simple. You have to take the time to learn and invest in your very own education when it comes to your money, because if you don't, you're always going to do the things that you hate. Next time, what I'm going to do is we're going to dive real deep in some of the things that people hate. And we're going to talk about America's retirement crisis. And it is a bad one that not too many people are talking about. We have a very good economy right now. Yes, 401ks are up. That's true. Investment accounts are up. That's true. I'm all happy about that. But the question is how long is that going to last? What is your position for the next downturn? Where's your money? What is it doing? How long is it there? Is it safe? What's going on? And here's a big question. When it comes to retirement, why is it that only 3% of the people in our country can retire with enough money to last them their entire lives? I think it's extremely simple. The 3%, they figure out how to stop doing what they're told by society, because it's society that's keeping you in the position that you're in. The big institutions, maybe it's banks, maybe it's Wall Street, who knows what it is for you. Okay. But you have to figure it out on your own. And there's no time like today to figure out how to stop doing what you hate. So let me ask you this. You hate your job? Let's figure out how to stop that. You hate being in debt? Let's figure out how to stop that. You hate being broke? Let's figure out how to stop that. If you want to retire before you die, go to www.retirenowretirewow.com. That's retirenowretirewow.com. Click on the button to download your Rapid Retire brochure. Inside, you'll learn everything you need to know to stop doing what you hate. Also, click on the Game Changer form for me, submit that, and I will be in touch with you to have maybe a 10 to 15, even 20-minute conversation about some of the things that you really don't like about your finances, and then I'll help you figure out how to stop doing what you hate. Also, I have some important disclosures for you. And using our Rapid Retire program, there can be no guarantee that you'll be in position to retire 7 to 10 years sooner or any specific period. Results of the program will vary by user. All investments, including real estate, are speculative in nature and involve substantial risk of loss. We encourage our investors to invest carefully. We also encourage our investors to get personal advice from professional investment advisors and to make independent investigations before acting on information that we publish. Until next time, 1, 2, 3, let's get it.
This is the podcastfactory.com.